The tension between Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Mike Tyson appears to be heating up once again. What began as a war of words has evolved into a story that is attracting attention throughout the boxing world, fueling speculation about what could happen next between two of the sport's most recognizable figures. This time, however, the discussion goes beyond pride, legacy, or personal rivalry. According to recent comments, the situation may involve larger questions about influence, business, and the future direction of high-profile boxing events. As a result, interest in the story has continued to grow among fans and analysts alike. In a surprising development, Tyson shared new remarks during an interview with Hard Rock Bet, offering his perspective on the ongoing situation. His comments immediately sparked conversation across the boxing community, with many wondering whether the latest exchange could lead to an even bigger confrontation between the two legends. While details remain the subject of debate, one thing is clear. Whenever Mayweather and Tyson are mentioned in the same conversation, attention follows. Both men have built careers around commanding the spotlight, and any public disagreement between them is guaranteed to capture headlines throughout the sport. As the story continues to develop, fans will be watching closely to see whether this renewed tension remains a battle of words or becomes something far more significant.
I think I would really kick Floyd in the street fight. Wouldn't even be no match.
Any weight, any era, who would you have picked that you would have liked to fight the most?
Floyd Mayweather.
I love it.
Mike Tyson can't stand Floyd Mayweather. He hates that.
According to Mike Tyson, the conversation took an unexpected turn when he revealed that Floyd Mayweather had expressed interest in facing him. That single statement immediately captured the attention of boxing fans around the world. Almost instantly, people began imagining what a matchup between two of the sport's most recognizable figures might look like. A clash between two legendary personalities with completely different styles and approaches to the game. What made Tyson's comments even more intriguing was the way he delivered them. There was no anger in his voice, no personal animosity, and no sign of bitterness. Instead, he spoke with a calm and respectful tone, making it clear that he holds no ill will toward Mayweather. Tyson suggested that the two have maintained a positive relationship over the years and emphasized that there are no hard feelings between them. But despite the respectful tone, he still delivered a statement that immediately grabbed headlines and reignited debate throughout the boxing community. With the confidence that defined his legendary career, Tyson made it clear that if such a fight were ever to happen, he would fully believe in his chances. The remark quickly spread across social media, fueling endless discussion among fans, analysts, and former fighters alike. Suddenly, what had started as a casual conversation between two icons transformed into something much bigger. The speculation intensified, the debates grew louder, and a scenario that once seemed impossible began generating serious attention. Whether realistic or not, the mere idea of Floyd Mayweather and Mike Tyson sharing the same ring is enough to capture the imagination of boxing fans everywhere. Two legends, two completely different styles, two larger-than-life personalities. And just like that, a simple comment evolved from an interesting rumor into one of the most talked-about stories in the sport.
Ali, the same fighter that got beat by a fighter with 7 fights. Every time boxing come on, you don't bring up Muhammad Ali name. You don't bring up Mike Tyson name. You always bring up Floyd Mayweather name.
What do you think about Floyd talking about greater than Ali? He's very delusional. If he was anywhere near that realm of greater than Ali, he'd be able to take his kids to school by himself. There you go. Okay, he can't take his kid to school by himself. And he's talking about he's great. Greatness is not guarding yourself from the people. Greatness is being accepted by the people. He can't take his kids alone to school by himself. He's a little scared man. He's a very small, scared man.
The possibility of a Floyd Mayweather versus Mike Tyson showdown has sparked enormous interest, with many fans already describing it as a potential landmark event for the sport. For Tyson, the significance of such a matchup would extend far beyond a typical exhibition or celebrity attraction. In his view, it would stand among the biggest spectacles of his entire career. That is a remarkable statement considering Tyson's history. Throughout his career, he shared the ring with some of boxing's most memorable opponents and took part in events that helped define entire eras of the sport. Yet the idea of facing Mayweather appears to carry a unique level of intrigue and attention unlike anything he has experienced before. Tyson has suggested that a meeting between the two legends could elevate boxing to an entirely new level of global interest. The combination of their star power, contrasting personalities, and iconic legacies has fueled widespread discussion about what such an event could mean for the sport and for fans around the world. What makes the story even more compelling is that it has moved beyond simple speculation. Reports and public comments have continued to fuel belief that discussions have taken place, while Tyson himself has hinted at possible timelines, adding further momentum to the conversation. On the other side, Floyd Mayweather Jr. has responded in a manner consistent with the approach that defined much of his career: calm, composed, and confident. Rather than dismissing the possibility, Mayweather has offered remarks that have only intensified curiosity about what may be happening behind the scenes. As a result, both camps continue to attract attention, and fans remain eager for updates. The anticipation is driven not only by the names involved, but by what they represent. If a fight between Tyson and Mayweather were ever to materialize, it would be far more than a simple boxing event. It would symbolize the meeting of two generations, two philosophies, and two of the most influential figures the sport has ever produced. One built a legacy through explosive power and intimidation. The other built his through precision, defense, and strategic mastery. Together, they represent two very different paths to greatness. And that contrast is exactly what makes the possibility so fascinating to boxing fans worldwide.
Oh my God.
I got a question for you. One question. I am Mike Tyson in his prime versus Money Floyd Mayweather in his prime. Who would win?
Ooh, that's a great question.
I'm probably 50 pounds heavier than Floyd, so I don't think we ever fight. No, we could never fight. We're two.
Because we can only see that in the video game. So I wanted, I wanted to know, what's your thoughts? And also, when you see Floyd now, do he remind you of him? Do he remind you of yourself when you was rocking?
Yeah, to a certain degree, not totally, because he's not menacing. He's not a threat to the fact that he can hurt somebody.
Right.
You know what I mean? He's not that guy. You know what I mean? He's not going to hurt somebody. He's not going to go into the store and drag somebody out the store or do something ridiculous.
Before we look ahead to what might happen next, it's important to understand the men at the center of this story. To truly appreciate the intrigue surrounding this rivalry, you have to look beyond the headlines and examine the legacies they built inside the ring. First, there is Floyd Mayweather Jr., a fighter whose name became synonymous with precision, discipline, and control. Over the course of his legendary career, Mayweather compiled an undefeated record while establishing himself as one of the most technically gifted boxers the sport has ever seen. His style was never built on reckless aggression or constant exchanges. Instead, it was founded on timing, defensive mastery, and an extraordinary ability to read opponents. Mayweather transformed boxing into a strategic battle of adjustments, often winning fights by solving problems that others could not even recognize. Outside the ring, he proved equally effective. Every decision, every public appearance, and every business move seemed carefully planned. Whether admired or criticized, Mayweather understood how to command attention and turn his success into a global brand. His empire was built not only on athletic talent, but also on intelligence, discipline, and business acumen. Then there is Mike Tyson, a fighter who represented the complete opposite end of the boxing spectrum. Tyson became the youngest heavyweight champion in history and built his reputation through a style that was explosive, aggressive, and intimidating. In his prime, Tyson was one of the most feared athletes on the planet. His combination of speed, power, and relentless pressure created an aura unlike anything boxing had seen before. Opponents often appeared defeated before the opening bell had even rung. His knockouts were not simply victories. They were unforgettable moments that helped define an era. When Tyson stepped into the ring, fans did not expect a tactical chess match. They expected something dramatic, something violent, and often something brief. That is what makes the comparison so fascinating. These are two legends who achieved greatness through completely different philosophies. Mayweather was the untouchable tactician, the master strategist who thrived on precision, patience, and control. Tyson was the unstoppable force, the aggressive destroyer who overwhelmed opponents with intensity and power. One built his legacy by avoiding mistakes. The other built his by forcing them. Two champions, two icons, two completely different interpretations of what greatness in boxing can look like. And that contrast is what continues to capture the imagination of fans around the world.
Look at Pretty Boy Floyd compared to Money Mayweather, two different fighters. Because when I need to hear this. Pretty Boy Floyd, I was an actor fighting all the time, every couple months. So I stay in the gym, I stay fighting, I'm in the flow. So I could throw punches, tear a motherfucker ass up. Then when I got older, I'm still wise. Yeah. I still can tear your ass up, but in a different way. Right. So
still winning the fight,
but you got to stay in the
strategy.
flow. Right. You have to stay.
Tyson represented the unstoppable force. Mayweather represented the untouchable strategist. One built his career on calculation, precision, and patience. The other built his on intensity, pressure, and raw destructive power. One retired with an undefeated record. The other left behind some of the most unforgettable moments the sport has ever witnessed. Their paths to greatness could not have been more different, yet both arrived at the same destination, boxing immortality. For years, comparisons between the two remained purely hypothetical. They belonged to different styles, different weight classes, and different eras of the sport. Their names were discussed together only in debates about legacy, influence, and all-time greatness. But now, for the first time, the possibility exists that those paths could intersect in a far more direct way. Not as admirers of each other's accomplishments, not as legendary figures reflecting on the past, but as competitors standing on opposite sides of the ring. What makes the story so compelling is that it is not fueled by personal animosity. There is no deep-rooted feud, no history of bitterness, and no genuine hatred between them. In fact, both men have spoken respectfully about one another over the years. Instead, the driving force behind the intrigue is something much more powerful: the pursuit of greatness. Both fighters built careers around proving they belonged among the very best the sport has ever produced. Both transformed themselves into global icons. And both understand that legacy is ultimately measured by how history remembers you. As Tyson himself has suggested, this is not about dislike or resentment. It is about competition, achievement, and the desire to be remembered among boxing's all-time legends. And according to Tyson, the conversation that reignited interest in this extraordinary matchup began with a single revelation during an interview. One comment that immediately captured the attention of fans and sent speculation throughout the boxing world into overdrive.
Floyd Mayweather.
I love it. Why?
Huh?
You want to knock him out?
Well, I would love him before, and I wish he was my weight.
During the interview, Mike Tyson appeared relaxed and composed before delivering a statement that immediately grabbed headlines throughout the boxing world. With a slight smile, he revealed that Floyd Mayweather had expressed interest in fighting him, a comment that instantly sparked curiosity and debate among fans. At first, many assumed it was simply a passing remark or a light-hearted joke. But as Tyson continued speaking, the details began to emerge. His tone remained serious, his confidence unmistakable, and the possibility suddenly felt far more real than anyone expected. Tyson emphasized that there is no personal hostility between the two men. There is no long-standing grudge or bitterness fueling the discussion. However, he made it equally clear that if a fight were to happen, he would approach it with complete seriousness. For Tyson, stepping into the ring has never been about participation alone. Throughout his career, he built his reputation on competing to win, and he suggested that this mindset would be no different if he were to face Mayweather. Speaking with a confidence that made him one of the most feared fighters in boxing history, Tyson even hinted at how he believes the contest would unfold. The remark immediately spread across social media and boxing circles, fueling endless discussion about a matchup few ever imagined could become a realistic possibility. The reaction was instant. Fans, analysts, and former fighters began weighing in, debating how two legends with such contrasting styles might perform against one another. What started as a surprising revelation quickly evolved into one of the sport's most talked-about storylines. And just like that, a single statement transformed a distant fantasy into a conversation that the entire boxing world could not stop discussing.
Yeah, he's not going to do anything ridiculous like that. He's going to have somebody probably, but only because in a situation like that, when everybody loves you, you appear that everybody loves you, you don't know who really doesn't love you. You know, you're never going to have a chance to be at peace with yourself and to know who you really are, because there's too many people talking to you. Yes, from the outside to everybody, yes, doesn't look good. Yes, doesn't look good what's going on with him right now. You know, we could all be wrong, but from what we're seeing from the outside, things.
The very idea of a fight between Mike Tyson and Floyd Mayweather Jr. sounds both unbelievable and fascinating at the same time. On paper, it is a matchup that seems almost impossible to imagine. A heavyweight powerhouse known for devastating knockouts facing a defensive master whose career was built on speed, precision, and avoiding punishment. The contrast could not be greater. Tyson built his reputation through overwhelming force and relentless aggression. Mayweather built his through timing, intelligence, and technical perfection. One was feared for his ability to end a fight in an instant. The other became famous for making elite opponents miss while controlling every aspect of the contest. Yet Tyson is not speaking about the possibility as if it were a fantasy. He talks about it with the excitement of someone who believes another historic chapter could still be written. Despite everything he has accomplished throughout his legendary career, he appears to view this potential event as something uniquely significant. That perspective carries weight when it comes from a man who participated in some of the most memorable nights in boxing history. Tyson's career was filled with championship battles, headline-grabbing moments, and fights that captivated audiences around the world. For him to suggest that a showdown with Mayweather could stand alongside, or even surpass, those experiences highlights just how enormous the event could become. What makes the idea so compelling is that it brings together two icons who symbolize completely different eras and philosophies of boxing. One represents explosive power and intimidation. The other represents discipline, strategy, and defensive brilliance. Whether the fight ever becomes reality or remains a topic of speculation, the conversation alone has already captured the imagination of fans worldwide. Because this is more than a matchup between two famous names. It is a clash of styles, personalities, and legacies unlike anything boxing has seen before. And that is why the possibility continues to generate so much attention. Not because it follows the traditional rules of the sport, but because it feels like the kind of once-in-a-generation spectacle that only boxing can create.
Everyone is always trying to judge Mike Tyson. He lived his life the way he wanted to live his life. No one can say what they would have done if they were in his shoes. Boxing will live on. You know, it's the Mayweather era. Not just myself, but the Mayweather brand. You know, I have my own style, and what I made cool about boxing is not taking punches.
For Mike Tyson to suggest that this event could surpass every fight of his legendary career is a statement that immediately captures attention. Coming from a man who participated in some of the most iconic moments in boxing history, those words carry significant weight and naturally fuel speculation about what may be developing behind the scenes. What makes Tyson's comments even more intriguing is the way he delivers them. There is no shouting, no exaggerated bravado, and no obvious attempt to create controversy. Instead, he speaks with a calm confidence that suggests he genuinely believes in the magnitude of what is being discussed. Many observers have noted that Tyson appears different from the fiery and unpredictable figure who dominated headlines during the height of his career. The version seen in recent interviews is more reflective, more composed, and more focused. Yet beneath that calm exterior remains the same competitive spirit that made him one of the most feared champions the sport has ever known. Tyson speaks as someone who understands exactly what is at stake. For a fighter who has already secured his place in boxing history, the motivation seems to go beyond titles, records, or public recognition. The conversation increasingly centers on legacy, how history will remember him, and whether one final historic event could add another remarkable chapter to his story. According to Tyson, a matchup of this magnitude has the potential to elevate boxing to a level rarely seen before. His belief is that the combined star power, influence, and historical significance of the event could attract attention far beyond the sport's traditional audience. It is a characteristically Tyson statement, bold, ambitious, and delivered with complete conviction. Whether people agree with his assessment or not, there is no denying the confidence behind it. In Tyson's mind, this is not simply another exhibition or a nostalgic attraction. It is an opportunity to create something unprecedented, an event that could stand apart from everything that came before it. And that belief is what continues to drive the excitement surrounding the possibility. Because when a figure like Mike Tyson speaks about making history, the boxing world listens, chances, and is fully convinced that he can still compete at the highest level. According to Tyson, many people underestimate what he is still capable of accomplishing inside the ring. Despite the doubts surrounding age and inactivity, He appears confident that his power, experience, and fighting instincts remain dangerous assets against any opponent. Naturally, opinions among fans remain divided. Some believe that age and the physical demands of competition make such a challenge extremely difficult. Others point to Tyson's legendary punching power and argue that a single moment can change everything in boxing. As a result, debates continue to dominate social media, sports programs, and boxing forums. Every interview, every quote, and every public appearance seems to generate fresh discussion about what could happen if these two icons ever shared the ring. That uncertainty is exactly what fuels the fascination. Even those who doubt the matchup find themselves asking the same question. What if? Because if an event of this scale were ever to take place, it would instantly become one of the most talked about spectacles in modern boxing. The stakes would extend beyond victory and defeat, touching on legacy, reputation, and how future generations remember two of the sport's most influential figures. And while Tyson's comments continue to generate headlines, Floyd Mayweather Jr. has responded in a way that boxing fans have come to expect throughout his career, calmly, confidently, and without revealing too much. When questions about the potential fight began gaining momentum, Mayweather avoided dramatic declarations and emotional responses. Instead, he maintained the composed demeanor that helped define his rise to the top of the sport. During an interview, he finally addressed the speculation with a brief but intriguing response. There were no lengthy explanations, no heated exchanges, and no attempt to steal the spotlight. Just a short statement that immediately reignited conversation across the boxing world. For most fighters, a few simple words might not mean much. But Mayweather has built an entire career around understanding the power of timing, messaging, and anticipation. And that is why fans reacted so strongly. Because when Floyd Mayweather speaks sparingly, people tend to listen even more closely.
On the show just last week, and at the moment he's currently being profiled, as you'll know, on the channel, being Mike Tyson. That airs tonight as well. But on the show last week, he was talking about the fact that you're probably the last of these box office stars. You know, young guys are looking to the UFC fighters as opposed to traditional boxers, but you're probably the last of those box office stars. What do you say to that?
Well, I commend Tyson because he's one of the guys that paved the way for me to be where I'm at. You know, he's a legendary champion. And the only thing I have to say about Mike Tyson is...
If there is one thing boxing fans have learned about Floyd Mayweather over the years, it is that he rarely plays the game the same way as everyone else. While others generate headlines through bold predictions and dramatic statements, Mayweather has often relied on something far more subtle: timing. Throughout his career, he demonstrated an extraordinary understanding of attention and perception. He knew when to speak, when to remain silent, and when a few carefully chosen words could create more discussion than an entire interview. That contrast is what makes the situation so intriguing. While Tyson continues to energize fans with confident declarations and ambitious predictions, Mayweather remains measured and composed. His confidence has never depended on volume. Instead, it has always been rooted in control. Many observers view this as part of the formula that helped him become one of the most successful figures in boxing history. Long before the opening bell, Mayweather often turned every aspect of an event into a strategic battle. Negotiations, promotion, public perception, and timing all became part of the larger game. As speculation surrounding a potential showdown intensified, it became increasingly clear that conversations were extending beyond simple rumors. Reports, interviews, and industry discussions continued to fuel belief that serious interest existed behind the scenes. That is why Mayweather's brief response generated such a powerful reaction. To some, it sounded like a casual remark. To others, it felt like something much more significant, a signal that discussions may have been progressing further than many realized. For fans around the world, the possibility suddenly felt more tangible. What had once seemed like an impossible fantasy was beginning to feel like a genuine storyline unfolding in real time. Yet while Mayweather's involvement is often viewed through the lens of strategy and business, Tyson appears to be approaching the situation from a different perspective. For him, the conversation increasingly centers on legacy. After decades in the spotlight and a career filled with unforgettable highs and difficult challenges, Tyson continues to pursue opportunities that could add another remarkable chapter to his story. Whether one views it as a comeback, a quest for redemption, or simply the competitive drive of a lifelong fighter, Tyson's motivation has become one of the most compelling aspects of the entire narrative. And as speculation continues to grow, one thing remains certain. Whenever Floyd Mayweather and Mike Tyson are mentioned in the same sentence, the boxing world pays attention.
Listen, because he's one of the guys that paved the way for me to be where I'm at. You know, he's a legendary champion. And the only thing I have to say about Mike Tyson is everyone is always trying to judge Mike Tyson. He lived his life the way he wanted to live his life. No one can say what they would have done if they were in his shoes. Boxing will live on. You know, it's the Mayweather era. Not just myself, but the Mayweather brand. You know, I have my own style and what I made cool about boxing is.
After his most recent appearance in the ring, many people assumed Mike Tyson had reached the final chapter of his boxing journey. The expectation was that he would step away from competition and leave his fighting days behind. But instead of disappearing from the spotlight, Tyson surprised many by taking a different approach. Rather than focusing on excuses or dwelling on the result, he chose to reflect on the experience with unusual honesty. Speaking about what he learned, Tyson acknowledged that his preparation may not have been as balanced as it needed to be. He suggested that at times he pushed himself too hard, investing so much energy into training that it affected what he was able to bring into the ring when it mattered most. For longtime fans, those comments stood out. Tyson has spent much of his career being viewed as one of the most intimidating and fearless athletes in sports history. Hearing him openly discuss mistakes and lessons learned offered a rare glimpse into a different side of his personality. More importantly, it revealed something deeper. Tyson does not appear interested in simply recreating the past or reliving old glory. Instead, he seems focused on growth and adaptation. The goal is not to become the fighter he once was, but to become the best version of himself today. That distinction matters. The young Tyson was known for explosive intensity, relentless aggression, and a mindset built around overwhelming opponents. The Tyson seen in recent interviews appears more thoughtful, more measured, and more aware of the importance of balance. What emerges is the image of a fighter who is still driven by competition, but now approaches the challenge with greater patience and perspective. He speaks less about emotion and more about preparation. Less about intimidation and more about understanding what it takes to perform at the highest level. In many ways, that evolution may be one of the most fascinating aspects of Tyson's current journey. The power, experience, and fighting instincts that defined his career remain part of who he is. But they are now being paired with reflection, discipline, and a calmer approach to the mental side of competition. For any potential opponent, that combination is difficult to ignore. Experience teaches lessons that youth often cannot provide, and Tyson appears determined to apply every lesson he has learned throughout his extraordinary career. Whether a showdown with Floyd Mayweather Jr. ever becomes reality or not, Tyson is making one thing clear. He is not looking backward. He is focused on what comes next. And according to Tyson, the next chapter is not about revisiting the past. It is about proving that growth, adaptation, and belief can still create something remarkable, even after decades in the spotlight.
You know, one of the things that people forget is that Floyd went through a big transition of his own. If you go back to the early parts of his career and you watch when he was Pretty Boy Floyd,
Yep.
he was a much more aggressive fighter and he would put himself in danger much more. And then when he became Money Mayweather, like as it got later and later in his life, he just got so much more brilliant defensively. And then he became the guy that you see shutting out Canelo Alvarez, stopping all these guys, just shutting everything down. He just became this defensive wizard to the point where you'd see world-class fighters like Sugar Shane Mosley, who did tag him, but other than that, didn't really. Once he recovered, he didn't really know what to do with Floyd. Floyd just had the answers to his style. He had figured him out.
Yeah. And
as speculation surrounding a potential Tyson-Mayweather showdown continued to grow, the boxing world responded with a mixture of disbelief, excitement, and endless debate. Former champions, current fighters, analysts, and fans all weighed in on what such an unprecedented matchup could look like. Many observers pointed to Tyson's reputation as one of the most dangerous punchers in boxing history, while others highlighted Mayweather's unmatched defensive brilliance and ring intelligence. The contrast between the two styles has become the driving force behind the fascination surrounding the possibility. What makes the discussion so compelling is that these fighters represent completely different approaches to the sport. Tyson built his legacy through pressure, aggression, and explosive power. Mayweather built his through precision, timing, and an extraordinary ability to avoid punishment. The physical differences only add to the intrigue. Tyson spent his career competing as a heavyweight, relying on strength, explosiveness, and knockout power. Mayweather, meanwhile, became a legend in the lighter weight divisions, using speed, reflexes, and technical mastery to dominate opponents. On paper, the matchup raises countless questions. Can elite defense neutralize overwhelming power? Can precision and timing overcome size and aggression? Or does it only take one perfectly landed punch to change everything? That uncertainty is exactly why the conversation refuses to disappear. Even people who doubt the fight will ever happen find themselves imagining how those contrasting styles would interact inside the ring. Supporters of Mayweather point to his undefeated record, defensive genius, and ability to solve problems that seemed impossible for other fighters. Supporters of Tyson counter by reminding everyone that few athletes in boxing history possess the kind of explosive power capable of changing a fight in an instant. The debate ultimately comes down to one timeless boxing question: what happens when extraordinary skill meets extraordinary force? Yet despite all the predictions, Tyson has repeatedly emphasized that the situation is not driven by personal hostility. He has spoken respectfully about Mayweather while making it clear that his interest comes from competition and legacy rather than resentment. That perspective highlights how much Tyson has evolved over the years. The focus is no longer on conflict for its own sake. Instead, it is about the opportunity to create another historic moment and add one final chapter to an already legendary career. For Mayweather, the stakes would be equally significant. A matchup of this magnitude would represent far more than another appearance inside the ring. It would place his reputation, legacy, and carefully constructed image of perfection under an entirely new spotlight. Both men have already achieved what most athletes only dream about. They became champions. They built global brands. They earned their place among boxing's all-time greats. But moments like this exist in a category of their own. They are not measured solely by titles or records. They are measured by their impact on history and the stories they leave behind. That is why the possibility continues to captivate fans around the world. It is not simply about who wins or loses. It is about what such a clash would represent. A meeting between two icons who defined greatness in completely different ways. And so the boxing world waits. One legend known for power. One legend known for perfection. Two careers that helped shape generations of fans. If their paths ever truly cross inside the ring, it would become one of the most talked about events in modern boxing history. A collision of styles, philosophies, and legacies unlike anything the sport has seen before. Until then, the debate remains open. Would power prevail? Or would precision once again prove impossible to overcome? Whatever the answer, the conversation itself has already become part of boxing history. That's all for today's video. If you enjoyed this breakdown, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more boxing news, fight analysis, and exclusive updates. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.